3 reasons why the real estate industry sucks. This is the Get Your Ass to Work podcast, episode number 49. And don't get me wrong, I love the real estate industry, but we got some things that have to change if we are going to be taken seriously by other professions, by the general public, and definitely by the law. Because you guys have heard about the lawsuits that are happening right now where they are suing some of the biggest brokerages for price fixing, saying that agents are taking their clients to only the houses that are offering high commissions. Sellers are pissed off that they have to pay all the commission. There's all kinds of problems. But we're going to discuss the 3 reasons why the real estate industry, as far as I feel, sucks and what we can do to improve it. Number 1, the real estate industry sucks because it's too easy to get a real estate license. It just is. Guys, if you're going to go and get your cosmetology license, you're paying upwards of $20,000. It is full-time for 1 year. 1 year full-time of training. And I want to say that word again, and I want to say it more boldly. Training. Why am I saying that? Because you actually train on how to cut hair, amongst a whole bunch of other things. And that means you're doing the activity. You're spending hours and hours and hours cutting hair. And you're doing some book work, but you're doing a lot of on-the-job training, cutting real people's hair. The real estate industry doesn't have that. Here's what the real estate industry's requirement is for getting a real estate license. 90 hours of pre-licensing. Guys, people can get their real estate license in 30 days. And the only reason they can't get it sooner is because I think there's a mandatory amount of time that you have to go through a certain amount of book work. And typically, if you really, really want to get your real estate license and you study really hard, it can take you about 30 days to pass the pre-licensing exam and go get your real estate license, which is at that point just going to a broker and saying, hey, I want to work for you. Guys, that is so damn easy. There is no other industry I can think of. I don't know how the lending industry is. It could be that easy, but there's no other industry that I can think of where it is that easy to get your license, to practice a profession where you are handling hundreds of thousands of dollars in a legal transaction for someone. I think it's absolutely nuts that you can get it that easy. And what is something we can do to fix that? Well, for starters, how about you actually raise the amount of education that you need in order to get it? Which leads me to point number 2. And these 2 points go hand in hand. Point number 2 of why the real estate industry sucks is because there is no training available. Okay, it's out there, but you have to pay for it separately. And when you're a new agent getting your real estate license and you see the fees that it costs to just get started with the MLS, it's only about $2,000. But guess what? People don't want to spend any more money than that. That's it. They think they're done. They think, oh, once I get my real estate license and I pay my fees to get started and get hired with the brokerage, somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000, that's it. I'm not spending another penny. I am going to sit back, put my feet up, and wait for the fucking money to roll in. It don't happen that way. And there's no real training available. Oh, but Keller Williams is the number 1 training company of all real estate brokerages. No, Keller Williams has some training available. Keller Williams is probably the number 1 education company. What's the difference? Okay, the difference is this. When you get out of college, why is it so hard to get hired? It's so hard to get hired because you don't have any fucking training. That's why. What you have is you've completed book work. You have education. You've learned some things, but you aren't actually trained to do anything. Maybe you went through a little bit at the end of your college education with an internship, which is like what? 1 semester? Like 4 months of doing like 8 hours a week or something like that, where you did an internship, and you call that on-job training? No, absolutely not. And real estate is even worse. You have no training. Look, guys, the real estate industry is always saying, like all these brokerages, oh, we're so good at training our agents. No, you're not. You're not good at training shit. You may have a class that you teach on open houses, maybe teaching the principles of how to do your database or how to prospect, but you don't actually train. So what's the difference? Okay, you are going to teach a class on how to do an open house and get people to come there, but you're not taking a whole group of people out and making them place signs and knock doors the day before the open house, and you're not sitting there with them as clients come in and teaching them how to have a conversation, how to greet people, how to get them into your database, how to set an appointment. You're not training with them and you're not coaching them. And this is a problem. Here's another one. We talk about prospecting, and people can teach a class on door knocking or telephone prospecting, but that's the problem. They just teach a class on how to do it. They don't actually train you how to do it. They don't put a headset on your head and make you dial people and listen to your conversations. That's fucking uncomfortable. That's really uncomfortable. Here's one that people always talk about, but never actually do, and that is script practice. Oh, well, we teach scripts. What did you do? You brought a script, you handed it out to everybody, and you said, here, memorize this? No, you actually have to practice that script with a real live person, and then you actually have to go out and use it in the real world, which is far beyond what any real estate company is actually doing. And why aren't real estate companies doing this? Because they're independent contractors. Nobody is getting paid on your hourly work, and you're not going to see results if you're a broker by putting a whole bunch of hours into an independent contractor who may or may not actually do the work. So here's what brokerages do. They get as many people as possible into their brokerage, and they offer classes, and whoever makes it, makes it. And if you don't, they don't give a shit. And that's all the brokerages. I don't give a fuck who they are. Well, maybe some of the boutique brokerages do a little bit better of a job, but when I'm talking about the big brokerages, they all teach classes. You're not actually trained. You are not trained to be a professional agent. You know, to be a home appraiser. If you want to be a home appraiser, you have to be an apprentice for, I think it's at least 12 months, in some places 2 years, before you can determine the value of homes. As a real estate agent, that's one thing you have to do constantly. Determine the value of a home before it goes up for sale, amongst a whole bunch of other things. If you're an appraiser, you're not responsible for knowing about septic systems and wells and all kinds of other like building permits and shit that if you don't disclose properly could go wrong and you can get your ass sued. You may have to know about them as an appraiser so that you can properly assign a value, but you don't have to know and take responsibility for all of these systems when you're selling it to another client. If something should go wrong, the appraiser's not getting sued. It's the fucking real estate agent and the brokerage that's going to get their ass sued. So just to be an appraiser, you've got a long apprenticeship that you have to go through of on-site training where you actually go to homes and do the work that leads to you being able to be an appraiser. So guys, do you see the difference now between learning and training? What is your broker doing? Is your broker just teaching classes like a lot of brokers do? Are you actually being trained? And we'll get to the last point of joining a team. Keep that in mind, joining a team after this, because we'll talk about that after we get to point number 3. And point number 3 of why the real estate industry sucks and what we need to do better, because we can do better. What we need to do better is making sure that the general public knows the difference between shitty real estate agents and between great real estate agents. And when I say shitty real estate agents, you may not necessarily be a shitty real estate agent if you're only selling 4 to 7 homes a year. You could be retired, or that's all you may actually want to do, but you're not a full-time real estate professional. And the public doesn't know the difference. Why? Because the public doesn't actually care. And so here's what it comes down to. Typically, the first time somebody puts a home on the market, they kind of look for an agent if they don't know one already. And they go to the agent, if they don't know one, that is going to give them the cheapest rate on commission and let them overprice their house. And what does this lead to? This leads to an agent that has no marketing money, is typically part-time, that is just so hungry for work, they'll take any job that they can. They don't usually sell a lot of homes. They're going to let the home seller run the show. They're going to overprice that house. It's going to sit on the market for 6 months. And then the home seller is going to be like, real estate agents don't do shit, and I can do this better myself. And they're going to put it up for FSBO, and then it's not going to sell either. And then they're going to have a strong agent come in, help them get the home priced right, get it marketed properly, spend some money marketing that property, do all the open houses and the prospecting, answer their phone on the weekends, and then eventually their home will get sold. And so we do a terrible job, real estate people. We all do. We do a terrible job of educating the public on what the difference is between a full-time real estate professional and the part-time person who works at Starbucks and sells a couple homes a year or cuts hair for a living and does some real estate on the side. And there's nothing wrong with those people. But the public needs to know the difference. The public needs to know what are the possible problems. The public needs to know how they benefit from hiring a brand name, known agent in town. How are they going to benefit? And if you're thinking right now, how do they benefit? You're fucked up. You're off your game, and you better figure out why you are better than, say, the part-timer that's going to come in and list at 1%. Because I'll tell you what, the public in general just thinks, oh, what are real estate agents going to do? What's the difference? They all just put it on the MLS, disappear, and then eventually somebody's going to bring a buyer and they buy my home. What am I paying you for? A lot of people think that, and it's not their fault. It's our fault. And you know whose job it is to fix it? It's our job to fix it. So here's where I get back to the real estate team. It's too easy to get your license. Real estate offers pretty much no training unless you're ready to go spend some money and buy training. And the public definitely doesn't really know what we do as real estate professionals. And so I mentioned the real estate team, and here's where the thoughts are on teams. A lot of people, when they talk about real estate teams, see real estate teams as somebody that you join and you pay 50% of your money to in order to get some leads. And what happens most of the time is you don't work those leads because working leads sucks, and you end up bringing your own deals to the table and saying that, well, my team leader doesn't do shit for me. And that could be true, because that is a lot of team leaders. They don't actually do anything except just provide you with leads. And maybe they'll provide you with a, transaction service. And maybe they'll get you a database and a few other things, but they don't actually train you. They don't actually teach you how to convert leads. They don't actually put time into going with you on listing appointments. So what do you get? You get a whole bunch of people that don't want to give up 50% of zero of what they're earning, because a lot of agents don't sell shit during the year. So they're not making much money, and they don't want to share the little money that they're not making anyway and pay 50% of zero to a real estate team leader who's not doing anything for them. And here's where the difference comes in. The difference when you join a team, you want to look at training. I'll share this with you. If you get trained properly and you have a team leader that is going with you on real estate appointments, that is listening to your phone calls, that is helping you with your numbers and prospecting and making sure that you're doing the work that you need to do, you're going to make a fuck ton of a lot more money than if you just wing it and say, I'm not really interested in education, I'm not interested in learning or getting better, and I'm just going to do what I want. And what happens to those people is they end up getting knocked out of the business financially. After a certain amount of time, they realize that they're not making any money and they have to go back to work for someone else. Look for a team, if you're going to join one, that is actually going to train you on what you need to do to be successful and has a track record of taking people brand new to the business and teaching them how to be great real estate agents. Now, not all teams are willing to do that. A lot of teams are just going to get as many people into their organization as possible, just spoon feed them leads, and they'll keep the people that actually make it, and the people who don't make it fall away to the dog. going back to the job that they hate. And that is not a bad way to go if you're a team leader, because it keeps your costs down. Is it bad for you, the team owner, for the real estate agent? Yeah, because you typically only get one shot at really having a whole bunch of enthusiasm about real estate. And if you join the wrong team, it's going to drain you of that energy to go out there and hustle. So here's what I have to say. I have to say this. The real estate industry, guys, we can do better. I've already outlined what it is that we need to do better. And if you are thinking about the team route should do those things for you in a much better fashion than what a brokerage should do for you. The brokerage, they're just going to get as many people in as possible and churn the dead dog meat. Real estate teams who are doing a good job training their agents are going to help you get into the environment of success and push you forward. So if you think you can do real estate all on your own without a team, you might be right. But if you can be successful on your own, a team should be able to accelerate your learning and your projection of success a hell of a lot faster. Guys, that's it. That's all I got for this week. Thanks for joining me. And if you have any questions about real estate teams, yes, I do run a real estate team. And yes, I do a lot of training for our real estate agents. And yes, I'm the agent that helps our people go out on appointments and knock them down and win. And I'm not taking the credit. I'm putting my agent's face on those signs because I want to make sure that they have the pride and then they have the enthusiasm of being listing agents, because that's where the money is in this industry. Guys, we'll see you next week. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me up on social media. I am on Facebook. And yeah, that's it for this episode. We're going to see you guys next week with episode 50.